Welcome to the first webinar on resilience. This series of recorded webinars is being offered to you by Spark, a program on campus that focuses on promoting mental well-being and preventing suicide by building and strengthening students' mental health. This semester, as part of your professional development requirements, you will be watching webinars and participating in activities, all with the goal of increasing your resilience and your grit. There are a lot of aspects that go into one's resilience, like gratitude, coping with stress, developing a positive mindset, and more. But what exactly is resilience? And perhaps more importantly, why does it matter to you? Today you'll receive this crash course on resilience, and throughout the semester you will learn ways in which you can build and strengthen your own resilience. So, what exactly is resilience? Resilience can be defined as an ability to recover from or adjust relatively easily to misfortune or change. In other words, it is our ability to bounce back after a setback. It's our ability to keep going when times are tough and learn from it in a way that can make coping with future setbacks a little bit easier. During college, you are often challenged. You will succeed, but you will also struggle, and sometimes you will fail. But that is also how you grow. Resilience is the ability to keep going and keep trying despite a negative experience. It allows you to feel bad, frustrated, angry, or upset about the setbacks, which is normal, but it also helps you get through all that so you don't get stuck. Bad things will happen, and we will all fail at things at different times throughout our lives, but these are setbacks, not roadblocks. Resilience and grit will help you push through a difficult time. And the best news is, resilience and grit are just like other skills we develop. They are things we can learn and practice, getting better at them over time. This video includes part of a speech by Michelle Obama and gives some more meaning to resilience and why it is such an important skill to have.
Who are you going to be? And if you'll notice, I'm not asking what are you going to do, but who are you going to be? I'm asking you about how you plan to live your life every day. How are you going to respond when you don't get that job you had your heart set on? For all of you who are going to be teachers, what are you going to do if the students in your class next year just don't respond to your lessons? For all of you going into business, how will you react when your boss gives you a goal that feels way too high? See, these are the moments that define us. Not the day you get the promotion, not the day you win Teacher of the Year, but the times that force you to claw and scratch and fight just to get through the day. The moments when you get knocked down and you're wondering whether it's even worth it to get back up. See, those are the times when you've got to ask yourself, who am I going to be? And I want to be clear, this isn't just some vague platitude about building character. In recent years, we've actually been seeing a growing body of research that shows that skills like resilience and conscientiousness can be just as important to your success as your test scores or even your IQ. For instance, West Point cadets who scored high on things like grit and determination were more likely to complete basic training than those who ranked high on things like class rank, SAT scores, and physical fitness. So what we're seeing is that if you're willing to dig deep, if you're willing to pick yourself up when you fall, if you're willing to work until your weaknesses become your strengths, then you'll develop a set of skills that you can mold and apply to any situation you encounter, any job you might have, any crisis you might confront. But you got to make that choice. And let me just share just a little secret before I end. As someone who has hired and managed hundreds of young people over the course of my career, whether it was during my time as a lawyer, as an administrator, as a university, a nonprofit manager, even now as First Lady, I have never once asked someone I was interviewing to explain a test score or a grade in a class. Never. I have never once made a hire just because someone went to an Ivy League school instead of a state school. Never. What I have looked for is what kind of person you are. Are you a hard worker? Are you reliable? Are you open to other viewpoints? Have you stepped outside of your own self-interest to serve others? Have you found a way to serve our country, whether in uniform or in your community? Again and again, I have seen that those are the qualities that I want on my team, because those are the qualities that move our businesses and schools and our entire country forward. And just understand this. Those are the qualities that you all already embody. They're the values you learned from your parents, from the communities you grew up in. And today, more than ever before, that's what the world needs.
As you can see, succeeding in life is more about having resilience, grit, personal skills, and creative thinking than it is the grade or specific awards or tasks one has achieved. Sure, those things help, but it's what we learn in the process of achieving those things that really matters. This is why we are providing this series of brief trainings on resilience and grit. We can't talk about resilience without talking about grit. So what is grit? Grit is one element of resilience. You can think of grit as having passion and perseverance for long-term goals, or in other words, having stamina for your life. Grit is living life like a marathon, not a sprint. It is working hard day in and day out to make your desired future a reality. Now, it's really important to know grit is not related to talent or IQ scores. One study showed that at West Point Military Academy, the students who were grittier were more likely to graduate than students who were lower on or lacked grit, and this was true when all other variables were controlled. What this means is that having some long-term goals for our lives that are important to us or motivate us is essential to help us do what we need to do, even when times get hard. Grit is related to resilience, and that grittier people often possess the skills needed to be resilient individuals as well. They are able to stick to the tasks needed to achieve their goals and can overcome setbacks in order to continue to progress toward and achieve their goal. If you want to learn more about the idea of grit specifically, there are a number of YouTube TED Talk videos by Angela Duckworth, who is an expert in this area. We know that resilience is a quality everyone has to some degree, and it influences our behavior and the actions we take in order to bounce back or cope with adversity on an emotional or psychological level. But why does it matter? Why is it important for you to learn skills to make you a more resilient individual? You have probably heard the saying, change is the only constant. Throughout life, you will be faced with change often. It is important that you know how to cope with changes and adapt to new circumstances. Resilience comes into play when the change is unexpected or undesired. When you are resilient, you can bounce back from and adapt to challenging situations faster. Greater resilience is also associated with the ability to help avoid those challenging situations in the future. People with higher resiliency are more efficient in that they can bounce back faster while using less mental energy. Resiliency is also correlated with calmer thoughts, the ability to think clearly, and the ability to have greater control of your thoughts and emotions. So it could also help to reduce the amount of anxiety one feels during stressful times. Resiliency affects our physical health too. Resilient individuals tend to have a healthier heart and are less likely to develop heart disease, which is very important in the long run. Experts think this is because resilient people know and believe they can get through hard times, and they get less worked up and stressed out or overwhelmed by setbacks. People who are resilient also experience lower levels of cortisol, or the stress hormone, which is important on many levels, especially because high levels of stress over time leads to more sickness, illnesses, and even some chronic health problems. Resilience is believed to help lower stress to some degree, which lessens the amount of cortisol released into your body. Resilience also impacts brain functioning. Individuals who are resilient demonstrate higher brain functioning in the areas of decision-making and creativity, which we heard from Michelle Obama are essential skills employers want. Plus, they are skills that make life more fun. Resilience is made up of a lot of different skills, ways of thinking, who we have in our lives, and the goals we set for ourselves. Throughout the semester, our webinars will review in detail each of these different areas that help to build and strengthen your resilience. These skills will include lessons on gratitude, coping with hard times, developing and maintaining a healthy mindset, fostering healthy relationships, and developing grit. By learning these skills, you will become a more resilient individual. When faced with adversity, you will have the skills necessary to overcome it and bounce back quicker. Hopefully, this will help you be a happier individual and also have more success in your life. With each webinar, you will be asked to complete a resilience building challenge. These will be tasks designed to help you practice the skills of resilience and strengthen the resilience you already have. To get started, we know that remembering times when we've been resilient or shown grit helps us all to realize that we are resilient and we all have some resilience in us. Remembering our resilient times strengthens our resilience and makes it easier to use our existing skills and grit when we need them. So for this webinar, your resilience building challenge is to write a 1 to 2 paragraph reflection, focusing on a time when you had to be resilient or demonstrate grit. You do not need to share what the hard time was, but instead write about what you specifically did to be resilient, bounce back, and keep going. Write about what you did to overcome the challenge or get through the hard time. You will post that reflection into an essay box within the webinar feedback survey posted for this webinar that your supervisor will receive. Thanks for taking the time to focus on your personal growth with this resilience series.